All right, we are live.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Sweat the Bet podcast brought to you by OddsJam.com. OddsJam.com basically gives sports bettors powerful tools like positive EV alerts, arbitrage alerts, makes line shopping very simple, has an awesome bet tracker tool. If you're not using OddsJam, you are missing out, and you're missing out on the chance to stay profitable long term. And that's what we all want. We want to have fun, but we also want to make some money. So check out oddsjam.com. At the very least, guys, give it a test run, sign up for the email subscription, get a few free bets just to give it a test drive. What's the harm in doing that? And the OddsJam staff are starting to do some one-on-one meetings. So if you want to really go in depth and kind of learn about the tools, check it out, guys. The opportunity is there. So I am your host of Sweat the Bet podcast, Andrew Kim, a.k.a. the Parlay Doc. And here's my co-host, Matt. What is up, Matt?
What is up, Andrew? I would say brain capacity at about 30%. So I'm just going to be, I don't even know the words that are coming out of my mouth as I'm saying them. So just going to be firing off some probably really regrettable comments about Doc Rivers and James Harden, but we will see how things go. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It was an awesome weekend last weekend with tons of sports in different areas, from the Kentucky Derby, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, boxing. It was crazy. It was a fun-filled weekend of sports. So hopefully we get another fun few days coming up. So, what we're going to talk about, we're going to go over some of those highlights and lowlights from last weekend. I can tell you some of the lowlights were our playoff takes because we were totally off.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
But to our credit, we hit a lot of the bets. We hit a lot of bets
That's
from
true.
our last episode. So those were
really,
the highlights,
All that matters. We could have terrible takes as long as the bets win. That's all the people care about.
As long as we're making money. So
exactly.
We're going to go over the NBA series that are still active. We got a lot of tight series right now, so we're going to go over those quickly later today as part of our main segment of the show. We're going to go over our best bets. And, so if you guys are here, you're watching the live stream, make sure you send comments. We're going to try to integrate your comments and shout you guys out. So we thank the people that are already joining in, the people that commented last week. So make sure you tune in to this podcast on all of our major podcast platforms. We are available everywhere. If you don't catch us live, you can always catch us on a replay of the podcast or a replay of the live stream on our YouTube channel. So let's kick it off, man. So highlights and lowlights from a very busy sports weekend last weekend. So I'm gonna kick it off. I'm gonna go with some highlights. First, man, I know it's been talked about to death, but I gotta say the Kentucky Derby. What a freaking huge upset. What a story in the main race, the Kentucky Derby. Basically, we have Rich Strike. This horse, everyone knows by now, was an 80-1 winner. Huge upset. I think the second biggest upset in terms of odds in the Kentucky Derby history. So if you don't know the backstory, this horse was actually not even meant to be in the race. It was an alternate. It was like, out of the 20-horse field, it was like the 24th horse. So not only was it an alternate, it had multiple alternates in front of it get scratched. Yeah. So it wasn't even supposed to race. And then you had these top dogs like, Epicenter, all these other, Zandon that were supposed to be the chalk. This horse, there was a blistering pace, a hot pace, and this horse in the stretch just came out of nowhere, just blew everyone away. Now, not only was it an alternate, this was a $30,000, this was a $30K claim horse, meaning there was a race back in the day. You could have just purchased this horse at a race, and it was purchased for $30,000. So if you, me, Alex, all the guys at OddsJam, if we pitched in, we probably could have bought this horse. This horse was a Kentucky Derby winner. So here's the craziness. Obviously, the obvious, right? 80-1, if you put whatever amount on it, you're winning 80-fold, which is insane in itself, all right? But for those of you who aren't familiar with sports betting, you could have made what are called these like exotic bets. You can also bet who came in first and second exactly. And that's hard to do, right? 20 horses to guess first and second. That's hard as hell to do, let alone predict an 80-1 horse would win. So here's what you could have won. If you bet $2 on an exacta predicting who would come in first and second, and if you got it right this race, Rich Strike and Epicenter, $2 would have got you back $4,101.
That is insane. insane.
If you bet $1 on a trifecta, and for those of you who don't know, trifecta is you guess first, second, and third correctly, $1 wins you $14,870.
Jesus. I mean, how about that?
$1, and I'll stop here. $1 on a superfecta, you guess first, second, third, fourth. $1 returns somebody $321,500. And these aren't hypotheticals. These were tickets that were actually won. Okay, I saw a guy bet $50 on an exacta. $50 on guessing rich. It's basically you're burning your money. You threw away $50. He bet $50 and he won $200,000.
Woo! I mean, how about those odds? That's like hitting. That's like hitting Jokic to win MVP beginning of last season. Or something.
My
Not
God.
even that. Not even that.
So I had to say that was one of the highlights. And anyone who doesn't like that story, I'm sorry, you're a loser. That's an amazing upset. They're going to make a movie out of this one day. Now, my second highlight, very quickly, Charles Oliveira winning at UFC against Gaethje. Man, that guy goes to war every time. He goes to war. He's willing to take shots. It's an exciting fight. He has one of the most lethal submission games. The way he jumped on his back, just readjusted and adjusted to get that submission. He's insane. Anyone who's just knocking on Oliveira, you're just a hater. No, the lowlights I have for the weekend was the co-main event at UFC was Rose Namajunas. If you watch that fight, I don't know if you watched it, Matt. It was basically Rose Namajunas is the champ in her weight division. Her nickname is Thug Rose. I've re-nicknamed her Dud Rose moving forward. I know that's cheesy, but if you watch the fight, it was 5 rounds of her looking at Carla Esparza and her jabbing the air, hitting nothing, and Carla Esparza doing these feints. I have better feints. She looks like she's having a convulsion, basically, for 5 rounds doing this, and maybe got two takedowns all match, and had Rose on the ground for 21 seconds of ground control. So 2 takedowns and the 2 of them jabbing the air, basically, for 5 rounds. And this is how a champion loses her belt by decision, because literally the judges had nothing to go with except she took her down twice, did nothing on the ground, took her down for 21 seconds, but Rose basically jabbed the air. So they gave it to Carla Esparza, who was now the new champion. Worst fight I have ever seen. And I've been watching UFC since UFC 1. Since UFC 1, that is the worst fight I've ever seen.
I mean, Rico Royer agrees with you. Worst fight ever.
Rico knows what he is talking about. It is the worst fight. My only other low light is, I'll be brief, Golden State Warriors, hot garbage for 2 games straight.
What the heck was that? That was terrible.
Series should be over. I'm sorry. Series should have been over.
Series should be over with the Grizzlies should have won the series. I mean, they missed. I mean, game 1, they're a layup away from winning. They lose games 2 and 3. Fine. Game 4, they should have won. Game 5, they should have won. I mean, they should have won the series 4-1. It's ridiculous.
Oh man. So give me your highlights. What are your highlights and lowlights from that busy sports weekend?
Well, I mean, this one's obvious. My highlights were games 3 and 4. I was like, Joel Embiid's back. They won 2 straight. I legitimately was very confident they were going to win game 5 against Miami. I was very confident. I'm lucky. I'm back home. I went home for Mother's Day, still here. I'm not in a legal betting state, or else I would have put down a large sum of money on the Sixers money line and I would have lost. So my highlight was games 3 and 4. My low light was game 5. I have no idea what happened there. My other highlight, not necessarily from the weekend, but for May, I've had a very successful first 9 days of betting up until the weekend when I am in Maryland and I can't place bets. So my low light is just not being able to cash out on some of the good luck that we've been having. Like all those bets we placed last week on the Thursday show, that's like the last day I was able to bet.
I see.
So
I see.
I don't have anything as crazy as that, as like, because I didn't watch the fight and I didn't really get into the Kentucky Derby. So my highlight is like the Sixers made me really happy for 2 games, and then they just ripped my soul out of my body for game 5.
Yeah. Well, for those of you who followed, and this is why you should try to follow us. Look, we're not like saying we're the most brilliant people ever, but we love betting. We put out bets out there. We put our, money on the line. Our money where our mouth is. When we lose our bets, we lose money because we're actually betting them. When we win, we win some money and we're happy just like you. And just to highlight, look, sports betting is rough sometimes, man. People go cold stretches. It's demoralizing. So we got to celebrate the wins. And we did pretty good last episode.
Oh,
so
yeah.
If you go back to last episode, I gave you, 7 horse bets, 7 win bets. We hit 5 out of 7. 5 out of 7 win bets on Kentucky Derby picks from the Friday Kentucky Oaks, Saturday Kentucky Derby races. 5 out of 7 ain't bad, guys. And then we missed on the Namajunas parlay. I told you to parlay Namajunas with some other folks, and Namajunas just sucks, so she sucks. But we did get Oliveira. I said sprinkle a little bit on Oliveira by submission as well. So we didn't do too bad. Not too bad on the last episode with some of the picks we put out there.
Yeah, not bad. Griffin had the Giannis over his points, rebounds, assists next game.
Yep.
I forget what I put out. That was annoying. So my big bet was Warriors first quarter money line. Or I was minus 2.5. I didn't.
Yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah, I remember that. I
got minus 2.5. They were tied at the end of the first quarter, and then they proceeded to outscore the Grizzlies by like 100 points the rest of the game. So I just missed out on the first quarter. So my bet actually lost.
Yeah, that was just a bad beat.
Yeah, it was a bad beat. It was a bad beat.
So, all right, man, going to our traditional, given the title of our show, our sweat or no sweat commentary. So I'm going to kick it off today. So here's mine for you, man. So Giannis is 27 years old, okay? And obviously his nickname is suiting the Greek Freak. He's playing like a freak right now. He's
a monster.
He's a monster. So we can all agree, amazing. So here's my comment. So have we... Like this year, you can see that, he's definitely, I'm not saying he's an amazing outside shooter, but he's improved the shot. It's smoother. He can actually knock down some mid-range here and there. So there's definitely been improvement. And to me, it's impressive because he's taking it to another level, even when he's already damn good. So, have we not yet even seen peak Giannis, knowing that he's 27? So my sweat or no sweat comment is Giannis still has another level that he is going to elevate his game to in the next 2 to 3 years. You're going to see him take another step forward. So do you think that's possible, or is this, in your mind, peak Giannis? It can't get any better than this.
Another step forward?
I know that's vague, but I'm just saying somehow he will elevate his game even one step further, which already sounds kind of hard to believe given where he's at. But do you think he can do that, or is this peak Giannis in your opinion?
Oh, my pores are like so confused. I don't know if I'm sweating because I have two minds of thought. Number one, he's in favor of your argument. He's only gotten better. Like he clearly has the work ethic. He transformed himself from like an absolute stick when he first entered the league to like built like, not only is he the Greek Freak, he's a Greek god. The dude's just an animal. He's also like your athletic peak. You have about 27. So the nose or the sweat part of this is, does the rest of his game evolve enough to the point where he can lose a step athletically? Because I mean, as good as Giannis is, he is good because he can't dribble, he can't shoot, he just has magical footwork. But if you like this came out in last year's playoffs, but the Giannis has no bag, like. It's aggravating for me to watch him because he's just bigger and longer than everybody. Like he's just that, like, he's not skilled. He can't shoot. He can't dribble. And he's a good passer. He does a ton of things well, but like the two most important things on the basketball court is dribbling and shooting, which he can't do. So it makes me so mad how good he is. So I think you're going to sweat that one out
Okay.
Because imagine Giannis at 95% of where he is athletically. You know what I mean? Like if he just loses 5% of his athleticism, I think he's probably like, how much higher can you even go at this point? It's like that's like, I don't think his jump shot's going to keep improving. Like his handle is kind of disgusting sometimes, but
in fact, I'll say I think his handle's a little better. I think his handle's a little better than before. So I'm going to say, he's probably peak athleticism. I hear what you're saying. I think maybe I think the way that he's in such good shape, maybe, 2-3 years, 2-3 year window where we could maybe see one more step. I don't know what that means, but one more step.
Fair.
Where I think we'll see. But I just wanted to see what your take was on this. So what do you got for me, Matt?
Mine's a little simpler. Winner of Celtics Bucks series wins the next series in 5, and no matter who they play, wins the NBA Finals. So essentially, winner of Celtics Bucks is for the NBA Finals.
Oh man. Okay, I will say, winner of Celtics Bucks will definitely come out of the East. I think they will take out whether it's the Heat or the Sixers side. That part I will say, if you had asked me this before this Golden State Grizzlies series, I would have said hell no. I would have said Warriors are taking it now.
Me too.
Damn, I hate to flip flop, but I'm just serious. Like, I don't know, man. Like, Warriors look so vulnerable right now. Like,
they look terrible.
Man, I don't know. I mean, oh my gosh, this is rough. I honestly think the Celtics would have a better shot. I think the Celtics would have a better shot than the Bucks, honestly. So
interesting. I don't hate that.
I'll say Sweat. I think it'd be really tight. I think it's going to be tight. I mean, because I still think if the Warriors or the Suns could just get their shit together, I think they'll beat the East. So I'm going to say Sweat. Now it's a lot closer and sweatier than before, but I still think they'll come out. Yeah, so I'm going to have to say Sweat. I think the West, whoever comes out of the West, will still take it, but it's going to be a competitive series in my mind now.
Yeah, I mean, pre-playoffs, my favorite bet was Warriors to win the title because Steph, I think they were getting, you could have gotten them at a discount because Steph hadn't returned yet. So people didn't know what they were getting. And since the playoffs started, like the Warriors have went from being like, oh, are they better than the Kevin Durant led Warriors to now it's like, what the heck's going on? 2 straight games where they look pitiful, just pitiful. And the Suns, they haven't been bad, but like, the Pelicans legitimately took them to the brink. Like that was a 2-2 series, and then they won 2 straight. The Mavericks won 2 straight home. Maybe we'll see what happens tonight. The Suns have kind of been disappointing. So before the series, I wouldn't have agreed with what I said. But now it just feels like the Celtics and the Bucks are just playing a different sport than the other teams at this point. Like, I mean, we can get to it when we talk about the actual series, but like, I mean, I had my notes all written for the Celtics Bucks series, talking about how impressed I was that the Celtics came back in game 4, like how outscored them by 15 in Milwaukee with Milwaukee. Yep. Like I was so ready to give the Celtics props, and then they just wet their pants in the 4th quarter last night.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, that's
just
a good way to put
themselves.
It. Yeah,
I mean,
soiled, nasty poop, nasty poop. So yeah, terrible.
I would say of all the people, the poopiest diaper is Marcus Smart for sure. I mean, that guy, Mexican food. I don't know what he did, but like, just a quick aside. Marcus Smart flopping on the last play of the game is the biggest loser energy I've ever seen in my entire life. I absolutely cannot stand Marcus Smart, and that play is why. He clean strip, not even close, and he flops and he like screams like he got like shot in the back.
Okay, fair. No, I hate flopping. I really hate flopping, man. In my opinion, I really think we should institute, I'm not joking, I've said this before, I think we should institute like a yellow card system for flopping.
Dude,
like
they do that in soccer.
Yeah, you flop, you get a yellow card. Your second one, you're out of the game.
Technical foul for a flop.
And then you accumulate enough, just like technicals, like enough flops, then you get suspended. And I know it's a subjective thing, but I think just like they review like, flagrant stuff like in retrospect, like I think you should assign a group of people and you should be able to review this. And I know slow motion changes everything and can really distort optics, but I think there should be a team of people. I will volunteer myself if the NBA wants to hire me to review flopping after every game and say, oh, you know what? We missed a couple flops. You get a flop yellow card, and it starts accumulating over the season. I think
it's very easy to tell when it's egregious, when it's just a ridiculous flop out of your pants, like Marcus Smart did last night. Like Chris Paul is guilty of it.
Oh, Devin Booker, the other. It's a popular video that's been going viral where he rolled and sprawled out, near the stanchion, and then he's actually laughing. You actually see fans recording it in the front
Yeah, and
in the
he was
front
making
row.
fun of Luca.
And he's like, Luca special. And he's like laughing as he's on the ground. It's like that, like retrospectively, you review that crap. I mean, look, in the moment, like the refs, I get it. Like you said, the non-obvious ones are hard. It's like bang, bang play, right?
Yeah,
Like,
don't punish. It should only be for the grotesque ones, like the Marcus Smart last night.
Grotesque, flagrant foul review teams. We need those in the NBA.
I mean, we have reasonable rates. Well, let's go ahead and submit a letter to the NBA. Let's.
I think so. So I agree with you. No, you're right though. That was a poopy diaper. That was terrible. That was horrible.
I mean, let's just move right on to the Bucks Celtics while we're here.
Yeah, let's go.
I was watching that game, and like even as the Bucks were making their comeback, like the whole time I was like, well, they're not going to win. Like I just was so confident just based on how the game was going. Like the Celtics just looked better. Anytime the Bucks made a run, which they did in the fourth quarter, like the Celtics went up by 6 with like a minute and a half left, something like that. And then the Bucks hit 2 straight 3-pointers to tie it up. Yeah. So at no point did I think the game was over. Next thing I knew, I blinked and the Bucks won. It was like, I was like shocked.
Oh, I'm kicking myself because I literally was sitting there, and I don't know why. Like I usually don't like live bet like ridiculous plus 1,400, like what teams down. Like I don't really do much of that, but like I don't know why. I stopped and I paused. I'm like, should I? I'm like, I don't know. It said like Bucks. Like at one point it was like quadruple digits. Like
I mean, yeah, they're down by 14 in the fourth quarter.
And then I was like, should I just put like $20, 30? And I'm like, nah, there's no way. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, what the hell?
I still couldn't tell you. Like, if you asked me how the Bucks came back, I couldn't tell you what they did. Like, it didn't make sense. I was watching it live. It felt like one of those things where I was like, well, they're going to keep it close, but they're not actually going to win. Like, I never would have ever thought that outcome was actually in doubt.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I know that this has been the knock and the vulnerability of the Celtics is like
giving up leads.
Yeah, I mean, giving up leads. And look, you have 2 legit scorers. I mean, so that's not the problem. Like not having talent. Like you have Tatum, you have Jaylen Brown, but sometimes it gets stagnant, right? And I'm gonna say I'm biased because I still am holding a grudge against Marcus Smart because I had a parlay that needed him to just simply get 5 assists, 5 measly juiced odds assists to complete a pretty nice parlay for me. That would have got me $400 or $500, I think. And I'm bitter because he decided from the previous game where he was successful that I'm going to be an alpha scorer. And there was literally no facilitation. There was no swinging of the ball. It was watching, kicking out maybe to Jaylen Brown in the corner, which is fine. I mean, he was scoring pretty well. But basically, there was a lot of ISO ball, no one swinging the ball. There was terrible turnovers, terrible decision-making. I remember a clear-cut one where Jaylen Brown, it looked like he was about to shoot the ball. Last second, throws it to Marcus Smart at the top of the key, throws it into the audience. It was just a lot of ISO ball at the end. I mean, that's a lot of what I saw, and there was just no ball movement. And I personally blame Marcus Smart because I needed the assist. But he decided, I'm going to be the hero. I'm going to be Tatum today. I'm going to be Jaylen Brown today. And I'm going to take it upon myself to beat Giannis. And it didn't work. It didn't work. He should know his roles, hit a couple open threes, facilitate a little bit, get to your actual alphas, Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, be the defensive player of the year.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think he forgot his role after he got a little cocky from the previous game where he did play well. I mean, offensively, he did well. And I think he kind of got a little lost in that, in my opinion. So just play your role, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been my problem with Marcus Smart. He is a 30% three-point shooter who thinks he's Steph Curry.
There you go.
I remember having this argument with one of my friends. Like, I think the worst thing that can happen for the Celtics is if Marcus Smart makes 2 3-pointers in the first quarter. Because he's like, I'm on it. He's gonna miss 9. He's Dylan Brooks. He's gonna miss 9 straight, and he's not gonna care. That's always been my problem with Marcus Smart. Is he like? And I mean, the flopping we already talked about. Like that's actually why I hate him. But as the actual how he actually plays, like he thinks he's much better than he is. Like imagine how good he would be if he was just 15% less of himself. Like if he was just shot 3 threes a game instead of 9 sometimes. If he instead of like last night trying to be the hero, just give it to Tatum. Give it to your best scorer. Like Tatum can score with 3 people guarding him. Marcus Smart can't even score when he's wide open.
Yeah,
and I feel like,
and I know people were talking about Tatum's wrist, but man, his wrist looks fine. I mean, he scored.
He was amazing. Tatum was amazing.
He was really good. So
yeah,
give,
I think
give it to him, man. Yeah, exactly. Feed Tatum the rock. Give it to Jaylen Brown if he's on a hot night. Then feed him, whatever.
And Jaylen Brown was hot. Like he was like that third quarter, he was on fire.
I know, man. I know. And they went away. I mean, it got stagnant. Too much ISO. So I don't know.
Yeah,
so ultimately, who do you have? Who do you have winning the series?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I've changed my prediction like 9 times. Pre-series, I had Celtics in 6.
Yeah.
After 2 games, I had Bucks in 7. After 3 games, I had Bucks in 6. So now that after 4 games, I had Celtics in 6. So no, I think the Bucks closed out. And I think the Bucks win in 7. I think they win in
Bucks
7.
win in 7. Okay.
I do think the Celtics come back. Like they showed, like as gut-wrenching as that loss was, I'm not ready to just. I don't think that they're just going to lay down and die. And I think that I think this series is going to go 7. And like I'm acting like I was rooting for the Celtics because of my annoyance with Smart, but I love nothing more than to watch Boston sports lose, especially the Celtics. So I'm rooting hard for the Bucks, but I just feel like the Celtics, when you're like, their defense is that good. They have 2 scores better than the Bucks pure scores. Like Giannis is obviously incredible. But if it's like 30 seconds and you say like I need a bucket, you'd rather have Brown and Tatum with the ball. So I still think the Celtics. I still think they win, but I mean that is a tough loss to come back from at home.
Sure.
So that's kind of where I'm at. What about you?
Oh man, I mean they totally shit themselves, but I think the Celtics will keep the series alive.
Yeah, I think they win in Boston, in Milwaukee, and then I think it goes to 7.
Yeah, I think it's going to go 7, and then I'm going to say somehow, maybe not, but somehow Giannis runs a little low on fuel, and Celtics somehow massively upset everyone in the nation, and they're going to take it. And I'm going to say Celtics survive, and not just survive, but they'll take it in 7.
Wow, you could get some. I bet you could get some pretty juicy odds.
Maybe, yeah. I should look. But
on
man,
that future,
man. So, all right. As we pause to move on to the next year, we got Solo Hits. Shout out to Solo Hits for participating here. He says Cam Johnson over 9.5 points. A good bet. I'm going to say, yeah, I kind of like that. And, and while Matt was talking, look, I mean, it's not some super lock, but he's covered it the last 2 times in this series. So 2 out of the last 4 in this series, he's covered it, 11 and 14. I think there's value there because right now it's still at plus odds. You can get it for like even money, maybe even slightly over plus 100. Some fantasy models are projecting at like 12.6 points. So given the trends, maybe he's found a little, mojo in the last couple games, some more confidence. They want to close this out. Plus odds value, yeah, I like it. So I'll go with you. I'll go with you on that one. So I'll take that for $50. Why not? I'm a degenerate and I'm impulsive, so I'll roll with you. Solo Hits.
Sorry, I meant to put that up on the screen. This whole time I thought it was up on the screen.
Yeah, no. I'll go for it. So Solo Hits. I'm gonna say yes. I'll ride with you. So I'm going to throw 50 on that just because you mentioned it. So I'll go with an audience member here.
I will in spirit. I am still in a non-legal betting state, but my spirit will ride just with you.
Sounds good. So let's move on. Let's go to the other Eastern Conference series. We got the Miami Heat versus your 76ers. So it's 3-2 heading into Philly in just a little bit. Tip-off's not too far away. So I'll kick this one off. So look. It's been this series too. I thought this series was going to be done. So I'm surprised, and I keep getting surprised by these series, which is a good thing, man. I think if these always play out the way we have it, it's boring. So it's cool that there is some excitement and back and forth battling. But, what kind of stands out to me is, obviously last game was a blowout, but even in the prior game, when the Heat lost, like there's just, man, there is such a difference in points in the paint that I'm noticing. So like even in the loss that the Heat had, they still outscored Philly 48-34 in the paint. Last game in the blowout, 56-36. I know that was a little skewed because Joel, didn't get his full minutes because of the blowout, but still, there's such a huge differential there. Easy buckets, versus just relying on outside jumpers, mid-range shots, 3-pointers. The Heat made some adjustments. They put, they put Butler on Maxey, and it really did kind of neutralize that to some degree. I mean, Maxey really,
he was awful. Game 5, he was terrible.
I mean, 9 points or something like that, right? 9 points, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
So that adjustment, so I'm interested to see, and I know that you're never really big on Doc Rivers. Can he make a counter adjustment to that adjustment? And I'm guessing you're going to say the faith is very low in that, but I'm wondering if they're going to take the same approach and say it worked, so why not put Butler on him again? Free throw differential. Usually, right, you and me, we're talking about how many free throws the Harden-Embiid combo is getting. And I know Embiid's injured, so maybe he's just a little more reluctant to just be on the inside, take that contact. But last game, Heat 23, Sixers 15 free throws. And then last thing I'll say that stood out to me, and again, blowout, but Sixers as a team, 14 total assists as a team last game. 14 assists. We're used to seeing, I know it's not the same Harden, so I get it, but we're used to seeing Harden, right? Prior Harden, 12 a night, 10 a night, minimum 8, 9.
I mean, when he was on the Nets, that dude was eating up assists like for breakfast.
So when you tell me you have Harden as one of your studs and your team as a team total has 14 assists, that's a big problem. That's a big problem. I mean, those were some of the stats that really kind of jumped out to me in the last couple games.
Yeah. I'm actually going to do something, I think, the first time in my entire life. I'm actually going to give Doc a break for Game 5. I mean, people want to say, like, well, the coach has to have the players ready for games. And I agreed in the regular season, but when you're in a 2-2 playoff series and you just won 2 straight, you have a chance to just rip the hearts out of your rival, Embiid's former teammate. And they put on, they acted like that was a preseason game. They could not have cared less about that game. And at some point, you have to put the onus on the players. Like, hey, you're a professional. Like, yeah, you don't want to show up on a Tuesday against the Magic in February. That's fine. In a 2-2 playoff series for like the Sixers haven't been out of the second round since 2001 when AI did it. Like, to come up with that lack of energy, I don't think that's on the coach personally.
That's true. No, that's
now
true.
There's some tactical stuff that's totally different. But like the lazy passes, like there were twice they had a turnover because they passed it and the player wasn't ready. That's not on the coach. I think honestly, Embiid, he hurt his back at the beginning of the game. He got hit with the ball in his orbital bone.
Yep.
I think Embiid just didn't have it. And I think when Embiid doesn't have it, the rest of the team knows and they follow suit. That's what I honestly think happened. TNT wanted to talk about he didn't have it because he was upset he didn't win MVP, which I think is total BS.
Come on. Yeah.
I mean, the dude's got a torn ligament in his thumb. He's got recovering from a concussion. He's got a broken face. He just hurt his back. Maybe one of the 4 injuries is why Embiid didn't have it.
Yeah.
Embiid started to show up in the third quarter, but at that point it was too little, too late. Yeah. They just didn't have it. So tonight, I actually think the Sixers win. I think that it's easy to just remember what happened in the last game and then just think that's what's going to happen moving forward. Both Sixers Heat series and both Suns Mavericks, the home team has won every game. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen for the Suns Mavericks, but I do think that the Sixers win tonight.
Well, one of our viewers, Kang Lee, says R.I.P. Embiid. So I think some of our viewers are going to be disagreeing with you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree, but I don't necessarily think what happened in games 3 and 4 is any more unlikely than what happened in game 5. I think it's just the recency effect, Yeah. So I do think the Heat win in 7, but I do think the Sixers win tonight. I think they do.
Gotcha.
But we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I would have bet my life that they would have won game 5. I thought with Embiid back, they're just better than Miami. And I think I probably didn't put enough emphasis on, like, for whatever reason, players just shoot better at home. Like, that's really what the story of this whole series is. Games 1 and 2, Heat shot well, Sixers couldn't make a shot. Games 3 and 4, Heat only made 7 in each game. Yeah. Game 5, Strus was on fire. Jimmy made 2 threes in the first half. They just couldn't, that's kind of what it came down to.
No, and you're right. I mean, look, and me personally, I I respect the hell out of Embiid just because it's like, man, you're showing up to work when your body's telling you you can't, but he's showing up and he's putting in the effort. I mean, he's still trying to rebound. He's trying his best to score, get to the line. You know, he's not right. I mean, even missing some free throws that he typically hit. I mean, he's banged up, and it's a team effort. And I think you and me, like, it's crazy how different our conversations have been in those last few games, in that stretch right before leading to the playoffs till now. It's like we were saying, look at the percentages, right? The catch and shoot percentages. And we said Tobias has changed his game up. Now he's a catch and shoot guy now that Harden's here. Percentages have gone up. Maxi's percentage has gone up. So it's like all that excitement of those positives we were seeing is just like, it's been sparse. I mean, we saw flashes of it in some of the wins. It just hasn't been there consistently, right? Just knocking down those shots. Harden, he had one decent game, right? I mean, so it's just they got to show up tonight, right? They like you said, I mean, coaching is coaching, and yes, there are some tactical things, but it's a desperation game. They got to show up. They got to show up tonight, you know. So
I think they do. I mean, I mean the same thing like in the Raptors series when they lost games 3 and 4 or games 4 and 5. I was ready to be like, they're done, like they're toast. And I think it's easy to get roped into the recency bias. I do have to pause and give a shout out to my guy, John. You know, he commented earlier on the Noble Got It official name. And I was like, I swear I met with that person, but I went through all my emails, all my meetings. And that's why, because his email is under a different name. So John, I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in.
Sounds good. So, all right. So I a little preview of our best bets. Like I'm gonna actually roll with the Heat tonight. So I'm gonna say defense travels, and it's gonna be hard to do the on-off switch thing and just suddenly get engaged. And I think with some of the adjustments of trying to shut down, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong and Maxey goes off, but. The Heat seem to have a blueprint of how things would work. Part of it is skewed because, they just shut it down. The 76ers shut it down at one point. So I agree with you. The score itself isn't really representative, but it's more the blueprint itself is what I was impressed by. So I think if their defense can travel, I'm going to roll with one of the series is ending tonight. I'm going to say that this series is going to be over by the end of tonight. So we'll see how it plays out. So
yeah, we'll see.
All right, so moving on to the Western Conference. So let's start off with the Warriors and Grizzlies. I'm going to be brief on this one, man, because I just have so much disgust. I can really sum it up in a couple sentences. I'll kick it off by saying, yeah, exactly. If you are Golden State, if you're a Golden State fan, God, I'm only bitter because I've bet on them, and they've burned me now a couple times this series, okay? Because you are losing to a Ja Morant-less Grizzlies. You are losing to not only a Ja Morant-less Grizzlies, you're losing to a Grizzlies team that is now led by an injured, not even a close to 100% Bane. You have a Desmond Bane that has like a back that's barely holding it together, and he's kind of like Embiid. He's showing up, and he's like, I have a bad back, but someone's got to step up, and he's trying his best. You're losing to a team without the star player who is like the engine, and you're losing to a team that is now being led by Desmond Bane, who is hurt. You suck, Golden State. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, I have two questions. One, basketball related. God. One, kind of not so much. How much do you think it has to do with Kerr not being there?
I don't think it's just Kerr not being there, because what I'm seeing is the same problem. And Kerr has talked about, and you see, I don't know. I don't think Kerr's like Popovich impression. I don't really find him amusing as a coach. I think he thinks very highly of how clever he sounds. And, I don't really like his dry humor. I find it endearing with Popovich. It doesn't translate to Kerr. I don't know why I get irked by him. And he's a former Chicago Bulls from the glory days. So trust me when I say I should love him. But now I kind of get why Jordan punched him in the face during a practice. So it's I actually get it now. So, but in Steve Kerr's defense, okay, the turnovers drive me insane. I mean, drive me absolutely insane. And obviously I'm biased because I've been putting money on the Warriors to just end this damn thing. It's like they're throwing passes from the back court to the front court. Nobody there. They're not even paying attention. They're just whipping fancy one-handed spinning bounce passes that are going out of bounds, and just like they're just careless. Like that is one thing. And I know the announcers on TNT and TBS, they always on TNT always talk about this, and it sounds repetitive, but it's like Steph Curry, one vulnerability in his game where he needs to improve is just like valuing the possession, valuing possessions and not turning over the rock. All of them. All of them. Pulled
that
him
behind the back
dry.
pass in Game 7 of the finals back in when the remember that when the Cavs came back?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And like, so I don't know if it's Kerr, but it's just like the turnovers are terrible. Defense is about effort. You got to play some D. And again, it's like, and look, I don't want to be so one-sided. Like, I also want to give praise and credit, man. Like, for a team to band together, like, you lose your stud. I mean, let's be real. He is your team. You lost your team. And then one of your other main shooters that was hot in the previous series is really, I mean, he's just a shell of himself because of the injury. And you're finding ways like Tyus Jones stepping up with scoring, with dishing, Jaren Jackson somehow becoming a sharpshooter suddenly. I mean, but so give the Grizzlies credit, right? I mean, I'm doing so much GSW bashing, but man, like that's what you want. Like as a coach, you should be proud as hell of that team. Like they are, that is the epitome of stepping up and playing beyond your expectations. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, there's this weird stat, like the Grizzlies are now like 19-2 or 3. Like I forget the exact stat, but like without John Morant, because he's missed some time this year, they just don't lose.
Yeah, I saw that stat. It's crazy.
It's crazy. I mean, a lot of that's probably just noise, right? It's just, I mean, John Morant's obviously incredible, but I do think the one area in which they're better without him is defensively. And I think that is the one thing
that's true. I agree with that. Yeah.
That's been like the biggest reason why Golden State has looked just horrendous, is because, I mean, the turnovers is part of it, but they just can't do anything on offense. They can't make anything. They can't generate offense. And the only defense I'll give to the turnovers is even in their like insane run, pre KD, after KD, they always led the league or were top 3 in the league in turnovers. It's because they have such a movement based offense. So like the Rockets with Harden never had any turnovers because it was literally just iso ball. Like that's all it was. So there's going to inherently be more turnovers with more ball movement, but the carelessness is what really has got to drive you nuts. Like you said, like that stuff you can clean up. Like so yeah, I agree with you mostly there. The other thing I wanted to ask, do you have any take on the Jordan Poole knee grab, whatever it is, whatever that was?
I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't really get too into it. I saw like clips of it and people going viral, obviously, on social media. I like looked at it I literally spent, and usually I get caught up in this crap just because it's funny, but it's like, I think I spent literally 15 seconds and I was like, what is the big deal here? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, maybe I didn't look at the video. I literally saw the clip maybe 2 times and I'm like, I don't know, like he touched his knee, I guess, and just moved on. And so I didn't really see the huge, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. I didn't miss the video angle or like a different viewpoint, but I'm like, I don't really get it. Like maybe don't touch my knee, I guess. But like, I don't like men putting their hands on my knees, but it's like beyond that, I didn't see it as some like weird, egregious, like whatever, broke the code or whatever that, you know.
Yeah. And shout out to John. It's 21-3 without Ja. That's what they're
crazy.
That's what the record
is.
Weird
anomaly. That's crazy, man. Yeah.
I mean, I watched the game live and I didn't see anything. And then I watched the replays of it. And I needed to watch the replay maybe 5 times before I realized that he grabbed his knee. Like I was looking at the ball so much that it was so like slight that he just like swiped the ball and just grabbed his knee. Like, I don't know. You have to really be menacing if you're that calculated that you're like, you know what, I'm going to swipe for the ball, but miss, and I'm going to grab his knee. You know what I mean? Like that, you have to really reach for that to think that was on purpose.
You'd have to be a kung fu master to be like, I'm going to injure this guy by shaking his patella. Right. Exactly. Like I'm going to wobble it a little bit. And
unless he's got like some sort of like massive judo chop that he like Austin Powers. So and the injury was a bone bruise. So like you're not going to get a bone bruise from some guy lightly grabbing your knee. So anyways, I thought that was mostly just noise, but yeah. I mean, the no Kerr thing, it's hard to really put in any like to understand exactly how much you should place on that, like how much value you should place on that. I also think the Warriors for so long had like play with their food type thing. You know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of what I think happened. They won Game 4 in which they had no business winning. So that's
true. That's true.
Yeah. So I think they honestly went into Game 5 like whatever. Like we're the Warriors. We're not gonna actually lose. And then they just got donkey punched. So I think they'll close it at home. I know this game's not till tomorrow. I think they close it out at home.
I think so. I mean, if they
I won't
don't
bet on them. I certainly won't bet on them. But
no, I at this point I'm so paranoid. Even though my mind, like intellectually, I'm like it's a smart move because they're gonna finish this. But I just emotionally I'm a wreck. I can't. Like if you follow me, like I haven't put it out on here, I think, but on my Twitter account where I put some bets that I'm doing and people tag along. Those of you, I got burned in that one game where I needed them. I can't remember. I missed by a point.
Missed free throws.
Oh yeah, I missed it by a freaking point.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And then and then they screw me yesterday by losing by 1,000. I can't. Emotionally, I'm done. I'm done with them. But intellectually, I agree. I think they're going to close it. I can't emotionally do it. So
yeah, I don't blame you.
So all right, final series, so we can get to our bets soon. So I'll be brief here. The Suns versus Mavericks. So we got that tonight. Oh, this is a crazy one. So a couple points. It's going to come down to shooting, right? I mean, I actually was surprised. I saw a comment on this, so I actually went in and manually looked at the stats from the last game. I did not realize. I mean, I know this is a three-point shooting league, but I didn't realize that the Mavs shot this many threes. Literally, this series,
it's insane. Yeah,
47% of their total field goal attempts are threes. Half their shots are three. I didn't realize it was that high of a percentage. So they're literally, we always hear that term that sounds cliche, live and die by the three. They're literally living and dying.
Yeah,
by the three.
I mean, they're living
they're
mostly.
They're living by the three, and you literally see the games they lose, they shoot like shit, and the games they win, they hit 20 out of 44. They hit 20 out of 44 threes. So
yeah, it's insane. And they're having like random jabronis, like David Bertans is going off.
Yeah, the Wizards Bertan. I remember that. I used to follow him on the Wiz.
Oh, he was terrible. Yeah. He was terrible.
God.
And like Kleba is going off. Like he played well against the Jazz, so that one you kind of understand a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, same thing with the Sixers Heat. It's like, did X team make their 3-pointers? If yes, they won. If no, they lost. Like that's kind of, I mean, you could dumb it down to as much as that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and so my only so I got two comments. Number one, tonight, I'm going to make this quick. It's like, I think, like you said, the whole concept and where we're differing on the other series with the Heat and Sixers. I think here at home, I think the splits have shown that the role player shooters have been doing much better shooting at home, right, in Dallas. So I think tonight will be one of those nights. So this is where analytics comes into play, right? If they're shooting half their shots, like 40-something shots or threes, if they could just hit them, you're literally just by math probably going to win versus a team like the Suns, who actually are like 15th or so in three-point volume. So they're not a three-point shooting team. So again, there's so many other variables. Defense, are you actually But if we're just saying like they're both shooting decently, just by math alone and analytics, this is going to say Mavericks should win, actually. So we'll see. So I actually think they'll survive tonight. So
yeah, that's funny. We're on opposite sides. I think the Suns close it out.
I think
they do. I think I don't know. It's weird because like games 1 and 2, Luka just went bananas in the Dallas just lost by a zillion in both those games, in games 1 and 2, and then like in 3 and 4, it almost felt like the Mavericks did more of like, okay, maybe we shouldn't have Luka do everything. Let's like let Dinwiddie get his run. Let's let Jalen Brunson get his run. And then game 5 was less of the Luka show, but the Suns just blitzed them. I don't know. So it's like I have a hard time getting a read on this series, to be honest. Like every time I feel like I know something, the opposite happens. But I mostly just trust the fact that the Mavericks just can't continue to keep shooting well at home. Like I refuse to believe that like they're in Dallas now they're going to suddenly shoot better.
No, I mean, so one of our users, one of our listeners, Steven, says that doesn't seem like an appropriate metric, and you're right, it's not a metric. It's me just saying I'm hoping they're hitting threes. And to Cody, who's there, Cody understands my illogical math and is saying it's going to game 7. So
I mean, sometimes that's really all it comes down to. It's a make or miss league. Do you hit shots or do you not?
Exactly.
But yeah, I think it's the Suns. Their whole thing is so interesting to me because like their two best players aren't volume 3-point shooters, right? Which is so interesting. But then all their role players: Crowder, Bridges, Cameron Johnson. I mean, Payne has been terrible, so definitely not him. Are volume shooters, and then they have. I guess I mean like really. It really comes down to what Ayton is going to show up because like I feel like he's like so hit or miss.
Yeah, he is. He is. It's interesting. Like I just some games they make it so intentional, right? We're going to get him going, and I think that's in your best interest, right? Like as the Suns, like because you know Booker literally is going to come out. He's one of the highest scoring like first quarter like guards at this point. So it's like he's going to come out and get you 6 to 9 right away in the first. But it's like I actually think it's in the Suns' best interest to get Ayton going early because
I totally agree. I
feel
totally
like,
agree.
And again, I have no stat to back this up. Just like literally eye test, but it's like the games where you see him getting going and he gets those 4, 5, 6 points early. I feel like those are the games where he gets you that 18 points, right? And he actually he's invested in the game. The games where he's watching Book do his thing and he gets 0 in the first, those are the games where he gets you 10, 11, maybe if even, right?
There's something to that. I forget whether it was when Kendrick Perkins was on the Celtics or whenever he was on the Thunder. But if you remember, the first play of every single game, he would get a post touch.
Oh yeah,
every single game,
exactly.
Kendrick Perkins would. And then someone asked the coach, whether it was Doc Rivers or Scotty Brooks, like, why do you do that at the start of every single game? And he was like, honestly, it's to get him engaged. Like some big men, like if they don't start the game with a play run to them, it just changes their entire mindset.
No, absolutely. I mean, the Bulls do it with like at times in stretches when Vucevic was like disengaged and it was just like he's just watching DeMar and Levine do his things. Like you saw this weird stretch where Donovan's like just feed him in the post, give him a little, mid-range jumper, just get him going. They did better in those games, when they were trying to intentionally do that. So
it's weird. It's a weird mental thing.
Yeah.
So it's something to look out for, man. I didn't really think about that until you said it, but that's a good point about getting him involved early. Yeah, and it just seems like it changes his whole mindset.
And my last comment is, so we're disagreeing. We're on different sides of who's going to win tonight. But my last comment on this series is I really think moving forward, the NBA needs to mic up Luka Doncic. And in the playoffs in particular, when he's like heated and it's like competitive. Because when he was going at it and calling Devin Booker a pussy ass and that went awesome. Viral, that was awesome, man. I love the Luka trash talk. I think it's half of it's like I think it's goofy and weird, but it's funny, and I want to hear more of it. Honestly, so.
I agree. I think we're so conditioned to just assuming all of these players are robots that whenever you can get some personality out of them, I absolutely eat it up. I think it's so interesting, and like also like as fans, we put so much of our time and energy into these like teams, into like for me with the Sixers, for you with the Bulls and the Bears, like. Yeah, it's cool to also see the players care that much. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that makes me get more excited than when like Joel Embiid's like firing up the crowd because it's like finally, like I care so much. Thank you for also caring so much. It's just so I agree, and it's cool to see like the different personalities.
Yep. All right, so we're on opposite sides of the fence on tonight's game for this one. So ultimately. You think the Suns are going to win. I think the Suns will win, just not tonight. So I think both of us are saying the Suns are going to win the series, though.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
I think they win tonight. And I'll give a shout out to Kang. Harden over 8.5 assists. If you can get that at plus 120, lock and load. Because everywhere I'm seeing has it at like in the minus 120s. So if that's still available, that's a mixed slam.
I would say yes. Even though I'm saying that personally I think the Heat are going to win. I think in a desperation game like this is a game where at least on the Sixers side, where it's a must win, it's going to be max minutes for the start.
Oh, I mean, 48, 46
exactly.
Minutes. Yeah.
So if there's a game to just take that risk, and I know it's a risky endeavor just because he's not been great, today's the day. So I would say this is the day where you hit that. And where is that? What book is that? Because I will take that with you if you tell me what book it's at. So Kang, tell me what book that's on.
He's in Germany. So and he said it moved. It moved. I mean, that's still a good bet.
I'd still take it at plus 105. Take it at plus 105. I would. That's value right there, and it's value plus circumstances, desperation. Even if it's a blowout, they're going to play to the very end tonight.
More minutes, yeah. All the above. All the above.
So we got a little bit of time left, so let's run through our best bets, which all of you degenerates, that's all you want to see. So you could fast forward to here, I guess. So I'll just run through mine quickly, just so that we can just move on. So we said we're on opposite sides of the fence. I'm gonna take now Matt's making me regret this, but I'm gonna take the Heat, and I have the Heat plus 2.5. So we can both win here because your team can win
by 2,
but as long as they don't cover. So I'm gonna take Heat plus 2.5. I took that on BetMGM. I think it was minus 115 at the time that I took it, so not exactly where I wanted to get it because I got off work kind of late, but Heat plus 2.5, that's one of my bets for tonight. I do have Joel Embiid over 25.5 for the reasons that I said. It's a buy low spot. When in your life would you have thought you can get Embiid at 25.5, right?
Yeah.
Pretty close to even odds. So I took it at minus 110 on FanDuel. I don't care that he's banged up. I don't care if his thumb is hanging off and his face is hurting. He has heart, and he will find a way, whether it's through free throws, whether it's on 9 for 30 shooting, but I feel like he's going to claw his way to try to get very close. It's going to be tight, but I think he'll somehow get close to around that. So I am going to take Embiid over 25.5 points as another straight bet. I am taking a FanDuel boost, Embiid and Butler combined.
I saw that.
To hit 50 points combined. So either one could go off, doesn't matter, but combined 50 points or more plus 120 on FanDuel. I really like that one. So a lot of fantasy model projections have them being combined for like 56, 58, depending on what model you use. So I think that one's a solid one. So hopefully, even if I miss on the Embiid one, maybe Butler can make up for it and they can get the boost at least. So that's another one. I got a couple UFC ones for this weekend. I got Cutelaba money line, which is juiced, but I like him to win. Parlayed with the Angie Overkill Hill, and Jandaroba fight over 2.5 rounds. So Cutelaba money line just to win. The Hill Jandaroba fight, I don't think either one's going to finish each other. So over 2.5 rounds, you can get that pretty close to even money right now. So I'm going to take that. And I know this is not popular, but I'm going to take Rakic in the main event to win the main event by decision at plus 200. So Rakic by decision, by points, plus 200 odds as my kind of long shot prop bet. So that's what I got for you guys.
I like it. I'll keep mine brief because we got to roll out of here at 7. For the Sixers game, I have 2. So I'm with you on Embiid. I took his over 3-pointers. It's literally over 0.5. Will he make 1 3-pointer?
Okay.
I think he's going to shoot 12. I think that he's going to pull out. I think he's going to pull out all the stops.
Okay.
Even if he goes 2 for 12, he just needs to make 1.
Okay.
I got your boy Tobias over 24.5 points, rebounds, assists.
Oh, yeah. I will. You know what? I'll do that. I love Tobias Harris. I feel bad for him, but because
I'll give him credit. He has been phenomenal.
He's been awesome, man.
Phenomenal. I mean, like a different human being.
He just doesn't get enough touches, man. That's all.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, you got to hope he gets 10 rebounds, 15 points.
I'll ride with you on that. I'll have to do that. What book did you take that on? Over 24.5.
It's MGM at minus 105.
Okay. I'll ride with you on that.
And then my last one is in the Suns game. I'm actually, even though I think the Suns win, I'm actually fading Devin Booker, and I think he's going to go under 27.5 points.
Ooh, okay. Under 27.5. All right.
Yeah, so he's hit that 3 of the 5. He's hit 28 or more in the games. So he hit it 1 and 2, or 1 of 2 in Dallas. And the Dallas just always plays better at home. But mostly, I think, because Chris Paul is going to be so pissed off that how bad he played in the 2 games in Dallas. I just think he's going to come out with a fire. And, I mean, we haven't really touched on this because there's not really anything to say. Don't be dickheads to the fans. But I think Chris Paul is just going to come out and he's just going to want to drop a huge load all over everybody.
Really? Okay.
In Dallas.
So you're betting on Chris Paul's rage, basically.
Oh, yeah.
That's.
Oh, yeah. I mean, who is like more of a spite guy than Chris Paul?
That's true. That's true. I will give you that. So, okay, so you're betting on, so Paul's rage to overcome and supersede Booker's scoring ability. Okay.
Pretty much. I couldn't find any value on Paul, so instead I took the under on Booker.
Gotcha. Okay, got it. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for joining in today. Hopefully, we can hit some of these together. Hopefully, we can get that Cam Johnson one that one of our users, kind of our followers, put out there. I'm going to ride with you on that one. I'm going to lock that in right after this. So good luck, guys. So thanks for tuning in to Sweat the Bet. Stay tuned. There's more live streams coming here on the OddsJam YouTube channel.
Yeah, watch out for, I think it's the Sports Nuts doing some last minute sports betting. So watch out for that. And yeah, thanks for listening.
Take it easy, Matt.